Hey, welcome back everybody to video number 2. If you completed video number 1 and watched me ramble through 7 minutes nervously with I don't even know how many I said in that video, and you're back for video number 2, I appreciate you. Thank you. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and dive into this second video. I wanted to talk about a little bit about my medical history, some of the symptoms that I had that have carried me through the past several years, ultimately to where I am now, which is facing surgery, hysterectomy, on Monday. So I did state that I was going to talk about some maybe graphic, or what some people would consider graphic details. This video is going to cover some of that, very personal graphic descriptions, I guess you would say. So if you're squeamish or you feel modest about those types of discussions, you feel they're better discussed in private, go ahead and skip this video because I am going to cover some of those details. I think personally, although some of it may be embarrassing for people to talk about, and even myself, especially because it's very personal, I'm talking about my body. I think it's important because those are the things I was looking for when I found out that surgery was my only option. And I wanted all the details. I wanted all of the graphic things because I wanted my questions answered. So, that being said, if you already know me, you know who I am, you know about, all my personal life. But that being said, I do plan on posting these videos eventually more publicly. So, for all of the people that don't know me out there, hello, I am Crystal. I am a 42-year-old married mother of 4. I have had 2 live births, gave birth to 2 of my biological children. I also have 2 older stepchildren. And those births were relatively normal, uncomplicated pregnancies and births. In my mid-30s, I began having some symptoms that a lot of women and even physicians tend to dismiss as, difficult periods, that sort of thing. But every woman gets to know her own body and what's normal for her. So I began having symptoms that were not typical, were not normal for my menstrual cycle. So this was probably my mid to late 30s. My periods became more challenging. They came with stronger PMS symptoms. I felt mildly flu-like. I would feel the cramping got worse for me. I had heavier bleeding at times, but I would say I would feel nauseous and those sort of things, which I think that kind of goes along with flu-like. But the biggest thing for me that I noticed was I started passing blood clots. And the clots would be anywhere from a size of a quarter, which, in some of the things I read, I'm like, well, this is abnormal for me, but not really concerning. Then they started getting pretty quickly. It became more $half size and then larger. And before I knew it, I had several months there and I was passing clots the size of the palm of my hand. And I was not feeling good. I felt weak. I felt dizzy. I felt not, it was so much so that it impaired my ability to function, on a daily, and it was not normal. It was not normal. So I did go to my OB and I discussed my symptoms. And after some discussion and some back and forth, it was recommended to me to have an endometrial ablation. And if you don't know what that is, they go inside with, it's kind of like this thin wire or rod, and it will open up this kind of mesh balloon. And basically, they thin your endometrium, the lining of your uterus, and then this thing heats up and it burns it. So it kind of sears the inside of your uterus, and it keeps that. The purpose is to keep your endometrium from thickening and shedding, a normal menstrual cycle. It sounds pretty horrific, but the effect of it is, obviously lighter to no periods every month, and ultimately those symptoms that I was having was supposed to dissipate. And I'm like, I'm in. I don't recall very many other options being offered to me at that time. I didn't find out until later what some of those other options were. And I was 39 at this point when the ablation was recommended, and I was scheduled for this minor outpatient procedure. So I did ultimately decide to have the endometrial ablation, scheduled it. It was, I did go under anesthesia and have this done, and, I was in and out. And for about 4 years, it did its job. It did an amazing job. I did not have any issues that I had been having prior. So unfortunately, after that, I began having symptoms. So the heavy bleeding did not come back. It was really odd because I would get my period, and I would not have heavy bleeding, but I started to pass very large clots again. On top of that, I had really intense flu-like. Like, now I'm not just feeling nauseous, I'm actually vomiting. I'm running low-grade fever. I'm getting chills. I'm getting hot, cold, and I'm chills so bad that my teeth are chattering. And the pain that I was feeling was more intense. Like, I'd rather go through childbirth. It was more intense than anything that I could remember since childbirth. I feel like I can't put it into words, how horrible the pain. And it was just, there was no position that I could get into that would relieve the pain. So unfortunately, when I started going through these symptoms, I was not insured at the time. My insurance had dropped me, and we were moving, and my husband and I had started to go through the process with the VA to get insured through the VA hospital. So once we made the move from Louisiana to Tennessee, back to my hometown, Nashville, we did get approved through the VA. So I did have health insurance coverage, and I went to see my new PCP, told her about the things I had been experiencing, and was ultimately referred to OB at Vanderbilt Hospital here. He is the head of the department there that he works in, and he's seen a lot of this. So he was able to give me some diagnoses that explained, once I had some CT scans and MRIs and exams done, they were able to get down to the bottom of what was going on. So I do want to briefly pause the video and then come right back because I do not want to mispronounce one of my diagnoses. So give me just a moment and I'll get right back to you.